Hey there, fourth graders, it's Mrs. Long, and today we are going to be talking about estimating with multiplication. So if you remember back when we were doing addition and subtraction, and we talked about estimation, remember estimation is always something that you do before you solve. So I want to make sure that you guys get this in your head. You estimate before you solve, because estimation is a mental math strategy. It is a strategy where you are finding about how many. You don't need the actual answer. In fact, you don't even want the actual answer when you're estimating. You are simply finding about how many. Like if I went to the grocery store and let's say I need 5 boxes of cookies and each box has 26 cookies in it, and I want to know about how many cookies I'm going to get, I could easily round 26 to 30, and that's easier to multiply than having to try and do 26 times whatever the other number it is that I said. I already forgot. But anyway, you guys can see estimation is meant to make math easier, to make it easier to solve. And it's also a great tool to use to check your work. So when you do actually go through and find the actual answer, your answer should be close to your estimate. If your answer is very, very different from your estimate, like let's say your estimate has an answer in the thousands and your actual answer is in the 10,000s, that means that you probably did something wrong when you multiplied. And so it is a great way for us to check our work. So let me focus in on my paper and let me show you how to estimate with multiplication. It's actually very, very simple. Okay, so if I have, let's say 34 times 5, all right, I'm wanting to estimate. Now 5 is already a single digit number, so I'm never going to round the single digit number. I always just leave that as it is. Here, I am going to round 34. 34 is closer to 30, and then I'm going to multiply times 5. And we learned, now I can just do what's called the front end multiplication, where I'm going to multiply my 3, and I multiply my 5. 3 times 5 is 15. I have 1 0, so I add 1 0 on the end of it. My estimate is it's about 150. And you see sometimes where you see this like little squiggly equal sign, that means about. That means that the answer is not exactly 150, it's about 150. And just in case you're curious about this, you don't actually really need to know this information, but my answer should be bigger than 150 because I made 34 smaller. So if I make the number smaller when I round, my answer should be bigger than that. If I make the number bigger when I round, if I round up, then my answer would actually be, my actual answer would be smaller, okay? So let's look at another example. Like I said, this is pretty simple, so I'm not going to make this video very long, but I do want you guys to see some different examples. If I have 152 times, I almost did 5 again. Let's do times 6. Oh my goodness. Mrs. Long is making some mistakes today. Equals, all right? 152 times 6, all right? That's a funky looking 6, but we're going to go with it. Again, we're going to round, all right? I always round, by the way, to the biggest place because again, this is a mental math strategy. Can I round it to 150? Sure, I can. You'll have a more accurate estimate. If the smaller place value you round it to, the more accurate your estimate is, but it also is a little bit harder to solve because you may not know what 15 times 6 equals. You don't have to memorize your 15 times tables, okay? But if I round 152 to the nearest hundredths place, all right, well, the 5 tells the 1 to go up, and then everything else becomes zeros. So now I'm doing 200 times 6. 2 times 6 is 12, and here I have 2 zeros, so I just add 2 zeros on the end. So my answer would be about 1,200. Again, that's not the actual answer. If I multiply 152 times 6, I'm not going to get 1,200, but I should get something close, okay? If I have it even a bigger number, I'm going to go over here. If I have, here, I'll switch colors just to make it easier to see. Okay, if I have, let's say, even a number in the 10,000s, let's say I have 36,218 times 4. 36,218 times 4, like that's a lot of multiplying. There's a lot of digits there. But if I'm estimating, remember I am rounding first. You always round first. Do not multiply and then round your answer. In fact, if you do that, you will get some things wrong because it's not always exactly, it doesn't always work out like that. And you're doing more work than you have to do. Estimating should be something that you could very easily do if you know your multiplication facts and you know how to round. Okay, so here we have the 6 tells the 3 to go to a 4. Everything else becomes zeros. And then I'm going to multiply that times 4. Well, I know 4 times 4 is 16. And then remember, I have to count all my zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I have to add 1, 2, 3, 4. And you notice I didn't write a comma until, I haven't written a comma at all. I don't write the comma until after I'm done, because I see students putting commas in all kinds of funky places. Remember, every period has 3 digits, and the comma separates the periods. We learned that with place value. Every period has 3 digits, commas separate the periods. So now I'm going to count 1, 2, 3 digits, put my comma there, and then I have 1, 2, 3 digits, so I don't need another comma. So 40,000 times 4 is 160,000, which means 36,218 times 4 is about 160,000. Okay, so you're going to go ahead and work on your workbook pages to practice, but remember, always round, then estimate. Sometimes a problem might say round to the nearest thousands place or round to the nearest hundreds place, in which case you have to follow those directions, but you're always rounding first. So I'm going to do one more example where let's say that it's told me specifically to round to a certain place. I'm going to go back to my darker pen because I think that's easier to see. Okay, it told me to specifically, let's say I have 2,473 times 2. Okay, and it says that I want to make an estimate where I round to the nearest hundreds place. Okay, so I'm going to find my hundreds place. That 7 next door is going to tell the 4 to go up. Remember, everything before it stays the same unless this is a 9. This is going to go up to a 5, and then everything else becomes zeros. So now I have 2,500 times 2. I happen to know what 25 times 2 equals because I know how to count quarters, and you probably do too. But if I didn't, let's pretend I don't know what 25 times 2 equals. I'm just going to take that out here to the side, 25 times 2, and multiply it really quickly. 2 times 5 is 10, regroup the 1, 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. So 25 times 2 is 50, and then remember, because I have 2 zeros, I have to add 2 zeros at the end, and then I count my 1, 2, 3, comma, it's about 5,000. Okay, so you're going to follow the directions. If it tells you to round to a certain place, you're going to round to a certain place, whatever place it tells you to round to. If it does not tell you to round to a certain place, you're going to do what we did here and always round to the biggest place, because that makes it the easiest and the fastest, and that's the whole point of estimation to begin with, to have easy, fast mental math. All right, good luck with your math practice, and I will see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.